Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. It is Wednesday. Welcome to the office. Welcome to the morning grind. That means that it is World Building Wednesday. We are trying to get back into that cycle, into this pattern here. And I had been away from it from way too long. So it is World Building Wednesday here. Good morning, James. Good morning, Zero the Blade. Welcome, Sable Phoenix. Hello, and BGD. Good morning. Stray is here. Good morning, and Mike, Brett. We also have Milton Knowles, the Insane Witch King. Have you been here with us live yet? I don't know, Milton. So let's give Milton a drink here. Welcome, Insane Witch King. I'm glad you're on here, but no matter where you go, there you are. That's the motto of the USS Excelsior, is it not? Good morning, PH. Yes, let's go ahead and breathe and sip. Let's go ahead and do our breathing and sipping. We'll take care of our mental health this morning before we jump into other things. So everybody got your drink this morning, whether that is coffee, tea, wine, shot of tequila, whatever it is you've got. Everybody got it with you this morning. Let's take 2 deep breaths. Just take 2 deep breaths and then complete exhales, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage. Much better, much better, much better. Okay, yes, thank you very much for posting the Discord server link, Stray. Thank you very much. So yes, please do come by the Discord server. There is a lot going on. I don't know what it was a reference to before that. I just remember seeing that as the Excelsior. I'm sure it does come from something else. It would make sense that it comes from something else. But yes, thank you. Please, if you are here new, please do join the Discord server. We'd love to have you. I was noticing that I didn't get to read all of them, but there were lots of discussions going on in the channels, including one from last night that I haven't gotten to look at yet, but I noticed there was a discussion going on about the differences between protagonists and villains. Last night was a great discussion. I was very glad to have Lou on Table Talk last night. I was very glad to have Lou on Table Talk last night. He has got a very unique perspective on, well, storytelling to discuss, but then also he has done so much in the geek community from, being what we probably all read his work because he wrote for the science fiction magazines by going on to the sets of Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5 and was reporting from those sets for a lot of the sci-fi magazines when he was out in Hollywood, when all of that was going on. So he also has some great there's a lot of great geek stuff that he knows and has been a part of. So I'm looking forward to having him back. We will have to do an extended. We looked at Moana last night. I'm a fan of Moana, and especially if you were interested in storytelling and the hero's journey. And then also Doug. Doug was also with us last night. So Doug brought the heroine's labyrinth perspective in this analysis of Moana. And it was fantastic. It was fantastic. So hopefully we'll get to go into Lou's theory of storytelling so that we have that as a basis to go into our deep analysis of The Dark Knight. Buckaroo Bonanza? I don't know what that is. Yes, thumbs up. Yes, please. If you are here, please do hit the thumbs up button on the stream. That would be fantastic. So that was great. So there is more stuff going on YouTube on YouTube and the internet than I realized. This week is absolutely packed. So the Discord server is a great place to know where that's going on. So some of it's on different channels and things like that. First, we'll say that here is Goodnight Sword. This is the first Kickstarter. This is in the world. This is the first book that's released in the world that we are building here today. One of the worlds we are building here on the channel. So this is Goodnight Sword. Obviously, it's my takeoff on Goodnight Moon, a medieval fantasy bedtime story, a world of gallantry, chivalry, and rabbits based on the classic story Goodnight Moon. This is the story that's for the youngest audience in the Tales of Rabivania. It has 34 hours to go. I may have to cut out of here a little bit earlier because I've got to send emails about this. I've got so much stuff to catch up. I've been behind on everything. And I got things to do in our final 34 hours here. So Goodnight Sword is here. Let me post a link to this in the chat. Goodnight Sword Kickstarter. If you would like, to check it out, there's the link. There is an animated audiobook. So if you have a child who is it's obviously Takeoff of Goodnight Moon. So if you have a child of that age, I know there are geeks who would like to read their children Goodnight Sword. So if you have children of that age, please do check this out. And there is an animated audiobook up here that was narrated by Brianna De Silva. You see her on the channel. And she animated it. Now, Adam M. Botsford illustrated it. So Adam M. Botsford is the illustrator. Adam M. Botsford is the illustrator. Brianna narrated and animated it. So if you want to check it out, you can see the entire animated audiobook here on YouTube. But it's embedded in the Kickstarter page. We are doing the Kickstarter for the Goodnight Sword ebook, and the hardback book, which is already approved. It's sitting, it's sitting right here beside me from last night. The Goodnight Sword ebook. This is our proof. So this is the physical book, the hardback book. It is already approved. It is ready to go. So all I have to do is hit print and we'll get books. And then also, if you would like some signed books, I am doing signed books as well. And I need to go ahead and place an order for those because those will go ahead and get here so that I can get them and sign them out. Sign them and get them out to you. So this has been a low drama Kickstarter, but we're about to start doing more things based on the things that we are creating here, like the Tales of Rabivania RPG we're about to be talking about here. So that's what's going on right now as the Kickstarter goes. Good morning, George and Micah. Good morning. But, okay, tonight we have an unexpected table talk tonight. So tonight at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, we will be live tonight I will be talking with Michelle Smith from the Force of Light Entertainment Channel. And we're going to be talking about good and evil in storytelling and what that means as a reflection on our society. And we have talked about this idea of good and evil in storytelling, which includes things like RPGs and its place in RPGs. I am interested to know her perspective on orcs and orcishness and RPGs as well, because we have talked about this. I've talked about this with Lou. So Lou and I held this down. That was our very first table talk. Lou and I kind of held this down on the atheist front. We brought in Cameron, who brings in the Muslim and Sufi Muslim specific tradition of perspective on good and evil and storytelling. And that was a fantastic part of the discussion. We talked to Ajit George, and he brought in some information on like a Hindu perspective on this subject. So we've been discussing this subject with a variety of different people. I think it's a very interesting subject. But Michelle is a minister, and she just received her PhD in theology last month. So I figured that, well, it is time to also hear from a Christian perspective. I'm not sure what denomination it is. We're going to talk to her about that, and we'll also talk to her. I want to talk about what her dissertation was on. So we'll be talking about good and evil storytelling with Michelle to kind of get the Christian perspective on that tonight. Ordinarily, we do table talk on Tuesdays, and I was trying to do Tuesdays and Thursdays, but Michelle is only available on Wednesday night. So guess what? We're going to do it tonight. So if you want to click, I guess I could put out this link here. If you want to click, I'll put out a notification on the Discord server, but then also Michelle, table talk. You want to hit the notification. I don't know how some people, YouTube can sometimes be finicky, or other social media if you're trying to figure out what's going on. So that's going on tonight, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. We will have that discussion. Tomorrow night is Thursday. So tomorrow we'll close out the Good Night Sword Kickstarter, and I'm going to do a wind down tomorrow. We're going to do a wind down tomorrow because the Good Night Sword Kickstarter should end at 8 p.m. So I'm going to go live and do a wind down. It's been a long time since we've done a wind down. So wind down 7 o'clock tomorrow to conclude the Kickstarter. Tomorrow night we'll do some painting, talking, whatever, chatting about different subjects, and we will wrap up that first Kickstarter because that's a major milestone because it's the first Kickstarter done in one of the worlds. So live tomorrow night, and of course live in the morning for the morning grind. Live on Friday for the morning grind. Friday night we've got we've got dinner and a board game. I'll be playing Hero Quest. Probably going on to the Elf Pack. I think I'm going on to the Elf Pack. So we'll be playing Hero Quest at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Friday. I haven't created that link yet. I haven't created that link yet. But then on Saturday, I forgot, on a different network, on a different channel, right here. Let me put this out. This is the Cultists Watch Party. The Cultists Season 1 Watch Party. This is going to be hosted by RM, who we see sometimes in the chat here, and she interviewed me on her channel. What was that, 2 weeks ago or something like that? So she is hosting on the Burn Network a watch party of the Cultists. So it's the entire season 1. Season 1 is only an hour long. So if you're wondering what all those clips are from the start of the morning grind, well, they are from the Cultist, which is my web show. So she's going to be hosting a watch party of the entire first season, which will be about an hour. And I will also be there to provide both writer and producer commentary. So that's what's going on there. So Saturday afternoon, we'll have the morning grind in the morning, and then Saturday afternoon, I believe, this says at 5 p.m. So I believe that's time adjusted. So that's 5 p.m. Central my time. Yeah, Central is my time. So that says live in 3 days, 5 p.m. I believe that's Central. Hit the notify me on that. And we'll come over there. We'll do a watch party. So if you haven't seen the Cultists yet, and of course the Cultists is on my channel. If you haven't seen it yet, this will be a great opportunity to watch it with everybody and also get commentary as well. So I'll be there. So that's exciting. There's a lot going on. And I may even do a Crafter's Corner on Sunday because I got miniatures over here that I am trying to get painted up for Kings of War. I was working on some archers yesterday. I was posting that in the Discord server as well. So there's just a ton of stuff there's just a ton of stuff going on this week. We've already been through a lot. I feel this is only Wednesday morning, but I feel Monday, last night, we already have tons of stuff. Mike says, how fun. How do you feel about being interviewed versus the interviewer? I like being interviewed. Of course, when I'm generally doing an interview, I mean, and so if it's actually generally an interview, I try to make sure that the emphasis is on the other person, to make sure that we're understanding what that person is talking about, what it is they're creating, what their perspective on things are. We've got, I mean, you hear a lot of what my perspective is on things here. Now, sometimes in table talk, we'll be having more of a discussion. So we'll get more of a discussion going than an interview, especially like as we go with Doug and things like that. Doug and Brianna was more of a discussion. But I like being interviewed because things come up that I probably wouldn't just think to say when on a show like this, when I'm just talking out loud and talking about some particular subject. So when somebody has something, is doing an interview, often it seems like they have questions that generally don't come up when I'm just talking. So that's probably a different side of things and different, different side of me, different, more information coming out that might not otherwise. So I enjoy it. Oh, you're doing Flames of War? I haven't gotten into Flames of War, but they do look cool. Okay, well, God, all of that to say, that was quite a bit. That was a lot, but that's what's going on. Let me take that down, and let's talk about World Building Wednesday. Let's go over here and say, get the right screen up. Okay, got it. Found it. Oh, Milton, you're with us now? Good morning, Sarah. Good morning. Glad you're with us in Discord. And then also Sarah. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. I am trying to do, I've got so much going on. This was like shocked. I was like, oh my God, this is such a huge week on YouTube. There's so much stuff going on, and there is more stuff than I can actually handle. I'm doing too much. I realized that yesterday. 15 millimeter. I thought they might be 15 millimeter. I realized there's just so much going on. I can't, I've got to figure out what's working so I can actually stop doing some things. Because it's too much. It's too much. I've got too many different projects going on here. But hey, I like working, but I need to find some stuff that's actually working for us. What's actually driving all of this forward, and then work on that. The Kickstarter after the Goodnight Sword Kickstarter. So Goodnight Sword was kind of a test. It's the first time I've ever done PDF based hardcover and also print on demand hardcover books. So I'm wanted to go through the whole thing in a low drama kind of way, and then make sure that I can use what's the most effective way to use like the print on demand fulfillment services and get all of that taken care of. And that way we can continue to do more things like that and continue to grow. So after the Goodnight Sword Kickstarter, the Kickstarter I want to run after that is for the Tales of Rabivania World Primer and starting that. And it may include some of the Faded Edge, because we've been trying to hit Faded Edge hard too. I realized that we need Faded Edge. Right now we're going to be working on the Tales of Rabivania in 5e. If you are new here, one of the things that I'm trying to do, or one of my ideas, wherever one of these books are, it's sitting around wherever, is to take a 6x9, it's sitting way over there, one of the 6x9 books, and saying that's one of our formats, the 48 pages. And the word count, I'm really worried about this. But instead of trying to think of what's the most that we can possibly do, which is one of the big full color hardbacks and things like that, let's start small. Let's start getting the world out to people, and in a variety of different rule systems. So I figure that 5e, Pathfinder, and then maybe Faded Edge are a good way to go. So we're talking about kind of the 5e rules here, because we've already been through the Tales of Rabivania World Primer in previous World Building Wednesdays. And now the major thing that I have to do, I've been reading through all this text because I'm about to go to layout with this. So I've been rereading all the text to make sure that it's right, because it has been cooling for a while. Like I said, I unfortunately took a break from World Building Wednesday, which was unintentional. But so it has been a while, but that's good because now it allows me to read it with fresh eyes and make sure that it is saying exactly what I want to say. And basically, the only thing that I've got to do now is make sure that all of the rules are in there. And I've been working on the 5E rules right now. And that way I can go to layout with this. And that way I can get some samples printed for print on demand. That's what's going on here. Oh, we have a genuine occultist in the Discord server. You may have found a good place for this. James says, can I ask for the service you're using for print on demand? Maybe in Discord. Yeah, it's no problem. That's for a good night sword, it's drive-through fiction. Now, all of that has the same back end. I think that drive-through RPG, drive-through whatever, and drive-through fiction all have the same print on demand service, like on their back end. So that's all the same. But technically, this is going through drive-through fiction right now because it's not an RPG, and that's how that worked. You think it should be the knights make up the core of Rabivanian cavalry. Where do I see this? I know what sentence you're make up the core. Core is a very modern military term. So this portion right here is not an in-universe text. So we see, I think it should be the knights make up the core of the Rabivanian cavalry. Well, they make up more than, a corps is a separate branch of an army, like a medical corps or a corps of engineers. Well, corps can also be a division. It's a division of troops, right? Don't divisions make up corps? When you have multiple divisions, you end up with a corps, right? Yeah, a corps is a military unit formed of one or more divisions. And so sometimes you do have separate things like a medical corps or the corps of engineers, because that's multiple divisions and it's an engineering corps, it's a medical corps, right? So that was how I was using that, not as a separate term. They form the corps. If we use the word core here, they form the core of Rabivanian. They form the core of the Rabivanian military. Because the whole, if we use the word C-O-R-E, it's more than the core of cavalry. It's the core, C-O-R-E, of the entire Rabivanian military. And maybe that's better. The knights make up the core of the core make up the core of the Rabivanian military, riding into battle astride great war foxes that provide them speed and maneuverability. Now, I like that. Maybe that's the way it should go. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning. Okay, so we got that fixed. So now we're going over to core. Well, let's move it to center of the. Let's move it to the center of the entire military, because the Rabivanian army or military as a whole is very cavalry heavy. Yeah, corps is between division. Two or more divisions make up a corps, and then corps make up armies, right? Yeah, so if the knights are the cavalry corps, then the only Rabivanian cavalry are in fact knights. Right, don't tell them I said this, but that's why the Marines are called the Marine Corps, right? Because the Marines are supposed to be a smaller force in general, so they were supposed to be corps. Like, I think that's where that comes from, that they're corps size as part of the Navy. Exactly same as the Army Air Corps spinning off into the Air Force. They care less when you bring up this fact, though, because it was the U.S. Army Air Corps and then the U.S. Army Air Forces. Because it was a corps, the troop division of corps. And then once it got larger than that, it became the U.S. Army Air Forces, and then it just became the U.S. Air Force. Okay, well, actually, let's reread this. Okay, actually, so what we were doing then, let me reread this. Because we actually looked at the knight. We went through the knight stats last week. So we had come up with, here is how the knight is. We said that in this book, we're going to have 4 character classes, because this is just the primer. This is 48 pages in 6x9 format. And I want, this is, all the characters are rabbits. All the player characters are rabbits. But then, so we have the rabbit. We went over the rabbit racial template, or actually in this case, it's species template. I'm using the word species here because species makes sense in this context. We have what the rabbits are as far as 5e goes. Later, I think I will convert this to Pathfinder, but I'm trying to get 5e down. And then we're going to have 4 character classes or professions. In 5e, it makes sense for them to be classes, talking about the knight, the druid, the witch, and the damsel of the blood royal. So, okay, let's just go over knight fast, because we did that last time, but that way we know its context right here. Make up or form the knights. It makes knights are the core of the Rabivanian military. Oh, we got Marines in here. Let's see. Okay, so the knights. The 13 virtuous rabbits, resplendent in their gleaming armor, knelt on the bank of Callan Mere. The damsels girt themselves. Didn't girt them. The damsels girt them with the white belts, and the mages of the mist dubbed them knights. From the tale of Aidan the Bear, as written by the anchorite of Willow Grove Locked. Knight. The knights are the heavily armed and armored elite warriors of Rabivania. They wield sword, axe, flail, and lance, and their armor of iron mail can turn even the sharpest claws of the forest beasts. The knights are the Rabivanian... Wait, did I just delete the wrong word? I deleted core after all that. The knights... I like form. You're right. Form the core. The knights form the core of the Rabivanian military, riding into battle astride great war foxes that provide them speed and maneuverability. Knights are renowned for their love of battle, but when there are no wars to be fought, knights ride across Rabivania looking for adventure and glory, practicing on the training field, or fight. Rabivanian knights ride across Rabivania looking for adventure and glory. That should be practicing in order to maintain parallelism. Practicing on the training field, or fighting in tournaments for their own honor and that of their lady does, whose favors they bear. Rabbits are not naturally brave, and the world is a dangerous place. That's why these rabbits who dedicate themselves to the path of knighthood, that is why those rabbits who dedicate themselves to the path of knighthood and receive its accolade are well respected. The Knights of Rabivania are expected to put themselves in harm's way whenever others are threatened, whether by snake, wolf, coyote, or raccoon marauders. Although the vast majority of Rabivanian knights are bucks, there are a few does who have received the accolade. Buck knights precede their name with sir to indicate their station. Does who have been dubbed knight precede their names with either dame or sir, according to their preference. Well, they are. There is more. I think this is right. They form the core of the Rabivanian military. And the core of the Rabivanian military is an elite group, is elite mounted warriors. So there are other cavalry other than knights. But Rabivania bases its military off of being very cavalry heavy. And it's not just any heavily armed and armored cavalrymen. It is specifically elite cavalrymen, these knights, who do this as a professional class. Andrew says, so are knights here also hereditary position? No, they're not hereditary. Knighthood is not hereditary in Rabivania. You have to be dubbed knight. It's not only based on your combat prowess, because I want to emphasize that being a knight is a lot more than that. It's character, it's virtue, and I want that to be an important part of the stories as we go forward. So it's not hereditary. No, knighthood is not hereditary. you have to be dubbed a knight by another knight, and the other knights have to let you basically into the club. Decide that when you're ready. But it's virtue. But there is a strong emphasis on combat prowess, because if you don't have combat prowess, then you're not going to be able to fulfill your duty as one of the heavy cavalry of Rabivania and a protector of Rabivania. Harm's way with an apostrophe. Yep. Thank you, Sable. Damsel is restricted to all the damsels are women. Yes. What does the rest of the military look like? It's probably a lot. So there's probably conscripts. The thumpers. The thumpers are like the city watch. So a warren would have like the warren's watch. So the thumpers would be the like a particular the watch of a particular warren. So those would probably be some of them. Some of them might be militia-like. There might be some of the larger warrens might have professional thumpers. The baronial guard at Elmhearth, there are also some professional warriors who are not knights that are like professional guards around Elmhearth. And then also there are probably some mercenary companies that you hire on as well. But when the knights come, the knights also come, like the squires come with the knights. And so the older squires would also serve military. I'm calling that getting bloodied. That one of the things you want to do is get your squire, once they're ready, you got to get your squires bloodied. So the squires would also be serving in some form of military capacity. They've got the older squires, because you got to serve your knight. But then some of the older squires, well, it's time you get bloodied. And so the older squires would also serve in battle. Okay, so we said then, this is what we came up with for the knight class. And by the way, in this world primer, we're just going to level 5. We can go to much further than that, but we're really short. I'm really worried about word count on this. I may have completely blown my 48 pages. And when I go take this to layout in just very shortly, I may have blown my word count, and that means that when I do this again for other worlds, I'm gonna have to reduce the amount of words, which is fine. I guess that makes it go faster. But I had written 10,000 words of lore, and I thought that 10,000 words of lore plus the rules would be about 48 pages in 6x9 format, but that may be too much. So we'd said knight class, hit die D10, primary ability strength, and again, this is Rabivania in 5e. That's one of the reasons why I started to create. I said I got to get back to Fated Edge. Because I think that in Fated Edge, I'm going to be able to represent Rabivania and Theophany and the other worlds we do most accurately to my vision. So this is not exactly, I would say, the most accurate depiction of a knight in Rabivania, because we've also said that, does it make sense to have a level 1 knight? So I might say, I started saying, well, hell, let's not have a level 1 knight. If you're level 1, you're a squire. You got to go through several different levels, and then you become knighted later. That kind of fits more with the idea of Rabivania, but I've only got 48 pages. Word count is very limited. This is intended to be a primer. If you play 5e and you want to try something new out, then being able to pick up a knight and be level 1, that makes sense in the context of 5e. So this is Rabivania inside the context, as well as I can fit it within 5e. And that's going to become even more important when we talk about druids and witches and spell casting, because 5e spell casting doesn't exactly fit Rabivania. It doesn't not exactly fit. It doesn't fit Rabivania. But if you're playing 5e, you're expecting 5e spell casting. So we got to make some concessions. So we got to realize this is the world as the best interpretation through 5e, because it's not my intention right here to rewrite 5e. I don't want to rewrite 5e or Pathfinder when we convert this to Pathfinder. I'm not trying to rewrite that. I'm trying to give people who are already familiar with that a new world to play in. So we'll say the Fated Edge will probably be the most the RPG depiction that is most true to my vision. Hey, good morning, Nightmare. Good to see you. Sarah says the knights form the heart of the Rabivanian military. Removes the size comparison confusion. I'll think about that. Vorpal bunnies. Hey, Nightmare. I think I said hi, but hi again. Hello. Well, yeah, see, now this is this is an important discussion. I'm gonna have to get something else to drink here in just a moment. This is an important discussion that I had with Lou early on about the Tales of Rabivania, and I also had this discussion um with Cameron, because this is intended to be a family world. Theophany will be the adult HBO kind of sex, violence, that kind of stuff. So Theophany is going to be that world. We're going to do that one next. Rabivania is intended to be family friendly. Family is difficult because I want it to be something that if your children are watching or listening to, that they are in good hands. But I also want it to be something that adults enjoy, because I want the stories to go up through, let's say, young adult. Okay, that's ultimately the goal. But I asked Lou, I said, what I don't want with these knights and the Tales of Rabivania is to sugarcoat or gloss over the fact that they are warriors and they are killers. Like, that's the purpose of a knight in Rabivania, is to be a warrior, and you have to be a good one in order to qualify as a knight, and get dubbed. So I was like, how do we deal with this subject? If you're trying to tell, like I said, family, but especially for the younger stories, which are children oriented, I don't want to shy away from the idea that they are killers and that is their job. So I'm much more okay with violence being in stories. So in Rabivania, we're not going to deal with language or sex, but but there will be wars. In fact, this is one of my problems. Like, I don't want it to be like the original He-Man, even though He-Man is actually an inspiration for this. He-Man never killed anybody in the He-Man cartoons. And there's sometimes, we have these knights, but they never actually kill anybody. Or if there's a battle or something like that, there's, somebody just like gets the sword knocked out of their hand, or somebody, does a judo throw or something like that. That's not the case in Rabivania. That the stories do deal with death and killing. So there is war in this. So for a 5e interpretation that would get you up and running of a knight class, hit die D10, primary abilities, strength, saving throw proficiencies, strength, constitution, armor proficiencies, all armor, shields, weapon proficiencies, simple weapons, martial weapons, skill proficiencies, choose 2 from animal handling, athletics, history, insight, intimidation, or survival. Equipment, arming sword, warhammer, or hand axe, spear or lance, a shield, mail halberk, a war fox with riding gear. All of that right here. That allows you to actually be a knight. So you go ahead and get the equipment. So even at level 1, in order to be a knight, you need this equipment. Very kind of feudal in orientation. Level 1, fighting style. You adopt a particular style of fighting as your specialty. Choose one of the following options. You cannot take a fighting style option more than once, even if you later get to choose again. Mounted combatant. When you are mounted, not incapacitated, or wielding a sword, axe, flail, or warhammer, and wielding a sword, axe, flail, warhammer, or a weapon with similar properties, you have advantage on melee attack rolls against unmounted creatures smaller than your mount. Expert jouster. When mounted and charging with a lance or a spear, you score a critical hit on a roll of 19 or 20. When you roll a 1 or 2 on any damage die for an attack you make with a lance from horseback, you re-roll the die. You must use the new roll. Mounted defense. If you are wearing armor, shielded, and mounted, you gain a +2 bonus to AC. Great weapon fighting. When you roll a 1 or 2 on a damage die for an attack you make with a melee weapon that you are wielding with 2 hands, you can re-roll the die and must use the new roll. The weapon must have the two-handed or versatile property for you to gain this benefit. Protection. When a creature you can see attacks a target other than you that is within 5 feet of you, you can use this reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack roll. To use this ability, you must be wielding a shield. So those are the knightly inspired fighting styles: mounted combat, expert jouster, mounted defense, great weapon fighting, or protection. And you also get second wind like a fighter. You have a limited well of stamina that you can draw upon to protect yourself from harm. On your turn, you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your knight level. Once you use this feature, you must finish a short or long rest before you can use it again. At level 2, you get Great Blow. At second level, your dedication to honor allows you to channel your inner strength into a powerful melee attack. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can elect to make it an extra vicious blow. You deal an extra 1d6 damage of the weapon's type on the hit. So it's not magic damage. It's of that weapon's type. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your Constitution modifier, a minimum of 1. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. At level 3, you get Unyielding Resolve. When you make a saving throw against being charmed, frightened, or paralyzed, you can add your proficiency bonus to the roll. At level 4, you get ability score improvement as normal, and at level 5, you get extra attack. So that's where we were. Have I thought about making a magic class of a cultist in Rabivania? Well, there are actually there are some druids who are cult-like, and there are other religions that are cult-like. So yes. Now, in other worlds we'll actually have like Cthulhu cultists. I also think the image of rabbit armorers and blacksmiths seems pretty cool as well. There are absolutely rabbit armorers and blacksmiths. They trace their lineage back to the introduction here. Clovis, son of stars and thunder. A rabbit like no other was born. He taught the other rabbits what it meant to be brave, brought flame from the world fire, smelted metals, and by his paws the first weapons were wrought. With them he slew Anorda and brought her reign of terror to an end. So the weaponsmiths and blacksmiths of Rabivania traced their lineage back to Clovis, because he is the one who was the first weaponsmith. So that's where we are with Knight. So now we are about to go over here to Druid. So let me fill up the drink here. We'll go to a Yeti hug break. Let me fill up some drink, and then I'll be right back. I'm just walking right in there. Just 1 second. Oh, it's time for a Yeti hug break. Yeti hug break. Yeti hug break. Everybody go hug yo Yeti and show yo Yeti some love. Okay, so actually, when we had started this project several weeks ago, or we come to this part, I remember this part right here. We'd gotten to the Druid, and there was some confusion here. Okay, because I realized because of our discussion that I needed to make the Druid better. Or at least I was not communicating what I was trying to do with the Druid. With the Druid, the Druids are supposed to be the wizards. So we've got Druids here, but we don't have wizards in Rabivania, because my intention is that if somebody sat down and said, yeah, can I be like a Druid? Or excuse me, if I sat down, can I be a wizard? I would say, yes, play the Druid. That's the Druid class. So the Druid class here is intended to take inspiration from the Druid class is intended to take inspiration from Merlin. Merlin as a pagan wizard, but he's a Druid. So if you are a particular telling of Arthurian tales, if you wanted to play Merlin in Tales of Rabivania, you would play a Druid. And then if you were, or Gandalf. If you want to play Gandalf in Tales of Rabivania, then the character should be a Druid. So where we had come to several weeks ago as far as magic and stuff like that, and like I said, I'm not sure that I don't think the 5th edition magic fully or expresses well the way magic would actually be used in Rabivania. We'll have to wait for Fated Edge for this. But I'm trying to put in 5th edition rules as most straightforward as I can, if this is the 5th edition interpretation of the rules. So people are expecting Druids to have Druid-like magic in the 5th edition context. But I also then look to see, now, wait a minute, actually, maybe I should be doing more of a blend between the 5e Druid and Wizard. And so I also went through, this was about 3 days ago, I went through the Wizard spell list, and I was like, what type of spells should the Druid have in Rabivania? Because they are also more Wizard-like that the 5th edition Wizards have. And actually, I didn't find much. I was like, nah, these spells here for the Wizard are doing things that they just don't do. The Yeti hug break might be the most disturbing thing I've ever come across. Hey, good morning, Neutromancer. Good to see you. Okay, so I did rewrite the druid to try to get that across. So this is a Rabivanian druid. For many days, Clovis and the rabbits stayed at Camerland Tor, eating mushrooms and berries and learning the secrets of the stars and of the worlds beyond, and erecting standing stones upon the hill. There upon the hill was established the first circle of druids, and that is from the tale of Krieg and the Caproctony, as written by the anchorite of Willow Grove Locked. So, druid. Druids have traditionally filled many roles in Rabivanian society. Druids are not only the animistic priests and priestesses of Rabivania's most ancient religion, but the storytellers who preserve Rabivanian history, experts in the ancient Clovician legal tradition, scholars, counselors, and through their connection with the spirits present in rock, root, and tree, practitioners of magic. According to myth, the great rabbit Clovis founded the first circle of druids on the sacred hill of Camerland Tor after his battle with Anorda. Thereafter, the druids became responsible for managing the relationship between rabbits and the spirits of the wild. Ever since, rabbits who are particularly attuned to the spirits, rabbits who are particularly attuned to the spirits and have dedicated their lives to a deep communion with them have served as guides to others who want to deepen their spiritual connections. So there's also a shaman-like element to this. Today, though the religion of the mother has displaced Druidism as the primary religion in Rabivania, the Druids are still very present in rabbit life. Many shires and villages have their own local Druid nearby who they seek out for their wisdom, a protective charm, or an herbal remedy. Further, though the Druidic social structure is loosely knit, it is an orderly and hierarchical structure under the leadership of the Grand Druid, who is still an important figure in the kingdom. While the Druidic order is not militarily powerful, their network crisscrosses the land and little escapes their attention. Druids are not frontline combatants, but they are frequent travelers. Druids often need to consult with other druids, attend moots, or examine stones or trees in faraway lands. They can also be found as advisors to the courts of Rabivanian nobles. They are frequently sought out for their counsel or to interpret signs of nature. So that is my new, 4 paragraphs on the Druidic order of Rabivania. So what did I do with Druid here? So I said, for our actual 5e structure, Druid class, hit die D8, primary ability Wisdom, saving throw proficiencies Intelligence Wisdom, armor proficiencies Light Armor, Medium Armor, weapon proficiencies Simple Weapons, skill proficiencies, choose 2 from Animal Handling, History, Insight, Nature, Medicine, Nature, Perception, Religion, or Survival. Equipment, a simple weapon, a component pouch, or a druidic focus, such as a staff, wand, or amulet, an herbalism kit, an explorer's pack, or a scholar's pack. Level 1, druidic language. I think this makes sense within Rabivania. Druidic, the secret language of the druids. I like that. You speak the language and use it to leave You speak the language and use it to leave hidden messages. You and others who know this language automatically spot a message. Others spot the message's presence within a successful DC 15 Wisdom Perception check, but may not necessarily be able to decipher it. And so I think that works within Rabivania because the Druids have this network crisscrossing the land. They are well apprised of what's going on. The Druids are also used to making long plans. And that comes up in the story that the Druidic order, well, we're trying to plan something and we're trying to change something. The Druids are happy to play the long game. And so having some type of special language or code that they talk in, or, to send messages back and forth makes total sense. So here again, the spell casting, this is the 5e spell casting. Rabivania is not overtly magical. Like nobody's throwing around fireballs and things like that. But in the context of 5e spell crafting, I went through and I nixed some druid spells to try to give some better idea of what the druids are going to be, but it's still imperfect. But it's what it is. This is the 5e interpretation. Spell casting, 2 cantrips and have 2 first-level spell slots. A number of spells on the 5e druid spell list have been removed to preserve the feel of the more historically grounded setting, while still retaining druidic spellcasting. GMs and players should feel free to revise the spell list further to achieve the feel they desire for the game. And like I said, I could not find many wizard spells. I thought that was a good idea, but in integrating wizard spells, the wizard spells just didn't fit. But I figured that the cantrips for the druid spell list, Druidcraft, Guidance, Resistance, and Shillelagh work well enough. First level, Animal Friendship, Cure Wounds, Detect Poison and Disease, and Purify Food and Drink work pretty well. Second level, Calm Emotion, Enhanced Ability, Gust of Wind, Lesser Restoration, Locate Plants or Animals, and Pass Without Trace work pretty well. Third level, Dispel Magic, Feign Death, and Protection from Energy work pretty well. And we're only going to 5th level here. Level 2, Herbalism Expertise. At 2nd level, your knowledge of plants and their uses allows you to create effective remedies and concoctions. You can spend 1 hour gathering local plants and preparing a number of poultices equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum 1. As an action, you can apply a poultice to yourself or a creature within 5 feet, healing 1d4 plus 1 hit points. Poultices lose their potency after a long rest. And then you also gain an additional 1st level spell slot, as is normal. Level 3, you become Lore Keeper. You gain proficiency in 2 additional skills from the following list: Arcana, History, Nature, or Religion. If you are already proficient in any of these skills, you may choose another skill from the Druid skill list instead. You also get improved spell casting. Level 4, Ability Score Improvement. That's pretty standard. And your spell casting goes up. And then at level 5, choose one of either Potent Remedies or Sage Advice. So Potent Remedies is when you use your Herbalism Expertise ability, you may create concoctions. Create concoctions that remove one condition afflicting a target, such as poisoned, blinded, or deafened. And then Sage Advice, as an action, you can share your wisdom and knowledge with your allies. Choose a number of creatures equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum 1 within 30 feet. These creatures gain advantage on their next ability check or saving throw that uses intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, as long as the check or save is made before the creature takes a long rest. And you get 2 additional third level spell slots, and you get your ritual casting. So that's what I came up with Druid, the 5th edition interpretation of this Druid. Okay, Witch. Again, we have the same spell casting problem, but I think Knight, Druid, Witch, and Damsel. That's a pretty good adventuring party, I think. So, Witch. Witchcraft in Rabivania. This one I also had to rewrite a little bit because I had a separate religion section, but I was realizing I was running out of page count, so I had to combine them. Witches. Behold, in the starlight, out of the mists of the other world, walked 3 beautiful does, the witch sisters Balb, Malka, and Aldana. The witches spoke of the moon and of the stars, and shared secrets of the other world. They danced among the stones and cast their spells as Clovis and the Druids watched. And that is also from the tale of Krieg and the Caproctony, as written by the anchorite of Willow Grove Locked. The tale of Krieg and the Caproctony, by the way, has already been written. I wrote that, but that got rejected by Cameron, so it's got to be rewritten. But that's actually a story that I wrote. Witch. Wait. I get this. New from says Sage Advice. There is like a column or something called Sage Advice. I've forgotten about that. I was like, what do you mean? So there's something about Sage Advice, and doesn't. Yeah. So he runs a column called Sage Advice or something. Yes. So witch. Okay, the witches are practitioners of an ancient religion said to have come into the world, when the Morrigan and the witch sisters of her court passed into Rabivania from the other world, the land of Tyr Duin, in the days of Clovis. Witchcraft is abhorrent to the Locked, and so many openly practicing witches will live on the fringes of Rabivania, or in the more remote parts of the countryside where the Locked has less influence, and older ways still hold more sway over rabbit life. Villagers who need guidance, charms of protection, or healing poultices will sometimes seek them out, leaving offerings at the entrances to their burrows. Sometimes even knights may have no choice but to seek out and entreat with a dark witch doe of terrible power for a solution to their quests. The witches believe there is a natural rhythm to life and try to align themselves with the natural cycles of the earth, moon, and stars. They perceive time as an ever-turning wheel. Much of their rituals are centered on the phases of the moon and the changing seasons. Some attribute darker powers to the witches, including the binding of demonic spirits, hexing other rabbits and their lands, and casting the evil eye. A coven's practices involve ritualistic magic and herbalism with the local flora and fauna. Some of the witches claim to be skilled in divination and prophecy by reading stars, interpreting the flights of birds, or by other methods. The witches do not have a formal organization. Instead, they have informal covens in which practitioners are privately inducted. Covens vary in number of members, but the traditional number is 9 witches, sometimes led by a 10th priestess. This structure echoes the witch sisters of the Morrigan's court, plus the Morrigan herself. Covens that grow much larger than this tend to divide into 2 or more covens, each of which may begin to grow in number again. Over the course of her life, a witch may have been a member of several different covens. Just as the Mirites look down upon the witches for what they regard as a dangerous communion with demons, the witches look with equal disdain upon the Mirite faith, and are especially suspicious of the damsels of the royal blood, of the blood royal. They see the damsels as a coven who will not admit to its true nature, and the Magus of the Mist as a counterfeit Morrigan. Though witchcraft is distinct from Druidism, there are many similarities in their outlook and philosophies, given their shared animistic beliefs. Witchcraft is primarily a feminine practice, though there are a few practicing bucks. Those bucks are most often called witches as well, though a few choose to be called warlocks. Sable Phoenix asks, what is a caproctony? Oh, that's a good question. What is a caproctony indeed? Hang on, let me bring something up. Nope, hold on. That is a word. Here it is. Let me bring this down. Stop screen sharing and bring this up. So it is based on the word the Tauroctony. What is the Tauroctony? Well, the Tauroctony is a modern name given to the central cult relief of the Mithric mysteries in the Roman Empire. So here it is. This is the Tauroctony scene. The image depicts Mithras killing a bull. Hence the name Tauroctony after the Greek word tauroktonos, bull killing. A tauroctony is distinct from the sacrifice of a bull in ancient Rome called a taurobullium. The taurobullium was mainly part of the unrelated cult of Cybele. Okay, so that's what this is. If you're referring to the tauroctony, it kind of has the same interpretation as the crucifixion. What is the crucifixion in Christianity? Well, it's a depiction of Christ on the cross, maybe with the thieves beside him. So that's what the crucifixion is. The tauroctony is a depiction of Mithras killing the bull in Mithric's religion. So this particular religious depiction, you can see he's often depicted like this. He's wearing this particular cap. He's kneeling on the bull like this, and you can tell that he's slaying the bull right like this. This is the Phrygian cap that he's wearing, and then there are also like mystical symbols that surround him. So this is a particular religious depiction of from the Mithric religious tradition. So, what is the caproctony? I said, well, it doesn't make sense for a rabbit to kill a bull. Like that's a little bit stretching things. You know, the bull would be very large, even for a mythic level rabbit. But I like this scene, and I want to have this scene in one of the more ancient Rabivanian religious traditions. And so I have the caproctony, which uses the Greek word for boar. And so that is the ritual boar killing. So in one of the ancient Rabivanian religions has Krieg killing a boar. And so the particular mystical, the particular religious depiction of that event is in Rabivania, the Caproctony. There are witches in this game for some reason. I'm intrigued. There are witches. Let's go back. So that's my write-up on witches. So this is what I was able to come up with for the witch class. Witch class. D6 hit points, primary ability only through level 5, like I'm saying. And trying to deal with this in the context of 5e spellcasting. Primary ability, wisdom, saving throw proficiencies, wisdom, charisma, armor proficiencies, none. Weapon proficiencies, dagger, dart, quarterstaff, and sling. Skill proficiencies, choose 2 from Arcana, Deception, History, Insight, Medicine, Nature, Perception, or Religion. Equipment, a dagger, a component pouch or a witch's focus, such as a charm, amulet, or staff, an herbalism kit, a scholar's pack, or an explorer's pack. Level 1, herbal remedies. At first level, you gain proficiency in the herbalism kit. You can use your knowledge of plants and their properties to create poultices, brew potions, and concoct remedies. During a long rest, you can create a number of herbal concoctions equal to your wisdom modifier minimum 1. Each concoction can heal 1d4 plus 1 hit points when consumed. Did I finish this one? Yeah, okay. So I think this is I did go over this one. So spell casting, witches have a limited number of spells they may cast, and they may cast, let's just say cast and cast like, they may cast like a 5e warlock. At first level, witches know 2 cantrips, know 2 known spells, and have 1 spell slot of the first level. The spell list for witches has been revised from the warlock spell list to try to preserve the more historically grounded Rabivania, preserve the feel the more historically grounded, while still allowing witches to cast spells in the way 5e players will expect. Why don't we just say expect? Players and GMs should feel free to modify this list to better suit their expectations for spell casting in 5e games. So, of the warlock spells that I thought were most suitable to Rabivania, with the cantrips, I came up with Friends, Minor Illusion, Prestidigitation, True Strike, First Level, Charm Person, Comprehend Languages, Hex, and Illusory Script. Second language, Crown of Madness, although the visual on that is outrageous for Rabivania, but the effect is okay, I think. Enthrall, Hold Person, and Suggestion. Third level, Counterspell, Dispel Magic, Magic Circle, and Remove Curse. I did. Let's see. Oh, I did. Got it. Thank you, Sable. Level 2, Charm Person. At second level, you can cast the Charm Person spell once per long rest without needing to expend a spell slot or provide material components. Your spell casting ability for the spell is Wisdom. Level 3, Hex. You can cast the Hex spell once per long rest without needing to expend a spell slot or provide material components. Your spell casting ability for the spell is Wisdom. Level 4, Ability Score Improvement. Level 5, Master Herbalist. At 5th level, your expertise in herbalism improves. Your herbal concoctions now heal 2d4 plus 2 hit points when consumed. And then choose one of Bewitching Gaze or Soothing Touch. Bewitching Gaze, as an action, you can fix your gaze upon a creature within 30 feet of you that you can see. The target must succeed on a Wisdom saving throw, DC 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your Wisdom modifier, or be charmed by you for 1 minute. Once you use this feature, you must complete a short or long rest before you can use it again. Soothing Touch. As an action, you can touch a creature and remove one condition afflicting it, such as poisoned, blinded, deafened, or frightened. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, minimum 1, and you regain all expended uses after a long rest. I think that sounds pretty reasonable for a witch in this setting. Oh, you don't think Hex is in the SRD? Oh, that's a good question. Let me see. I've got it right here. I'll bring it up. I will go through and I will check those. Oh, that says not found, but surely that's not. HEX is not. Well, all right. So thank you. All right. So before I go over to layout, some of them may have to go further than that. I'm not sure if just mentioning it though is a problem, but we will see. All right. So I need to go through and again and make sure you're right that those spells are actually in the SRD. Charmed should specify like the Charm X spell, since the condition is quite bare bones. Let's see. Charmed. You're talking about Charm Person. At second level, you can cast the Charm Person spell once per long rest. You're talking about here. So that does actually say like the Charm. Oh. Well, here I say Charm Person. That's it. You can cast the Charm Person. Did I say Charm? No, I said Charm Person up here. Oh. Okay. So down here. As an action, you can fix your gaze upon a creature within 5 feet that can see you. Your target must succeed on a Wisdom saving throw or be charmed by you. So what I need to do is clarify if this is the condition or the spell. Okay. I'll do that. Make another pass of this before we go over to layout anyway. Gotcha. Thank you. I'm going to bold that so I see that to come back to. Because, yeah, if that's maybe too charm. But she's already casting. Okay, so I'll need to compare that. So specifically with Charm Person, because at level 2, she can cast Charm Person once per long rest, kind of without needing to expel a spell slot. So I will compare that and I'll figure out what the intention actually there is. Thank you. Charmed would be capitalized because it's naming the condition. So this actually should be. So if it is the charmed, yeah. So if it's charmed, it might even be charmed. We'll have to see. Condition, the condition or the spell, and I'll make that clear. Charmed as per the condition or charmed as per the Charm Person spell. All right. Need to do that. Perfect. All right. So then the last one. The last class we have in here is the Damsel of the Blood Royal. Beside the magus, walking in the mist, were 9 beautiful damsels, the embodiment of virtue, clad in raiment of white and gold. From the tale of Aidan the Bear, as written by the anchorite of Willow Grove Locht. Damsels of the Blood Royal. The Damsels of the Blood Royal are a quasi-religious order whose members travel Rabivania promoting knightly virtue and Mirism, the faith of the mother. They frequently appear at tournaments to inspire the chivalry of all the rabbits and give their favors. The damsels are not ordained members of the Locht, and therefore do not perform ceremonies or rites as its clerics do. However, they are exceedingly popular among the commoners and nobles alike, and can expect hospitality wherever they go. As the most trusted Paw Maidens of the Magus of the Mist, they must sometimes travel dangerous roads on her errands, but there is no shortage of gallant knights who are more than willing to ride in escort of a damsel wherever she must go, and perhaps win her favor on the journey. The Magus of the Mist personally inducts virtuous young maidens who are strong of heart and devout in the faith of the mother into the damsels. Upon being taken as a damsel, the maiden sets aside her given name and adopts the name of a virtue the Magus has noted the inductee is especially capable of demonstrating. By tradition, the damsels are 9 in number, but in practice, their number has varied from time to time based on the needs of the magus. The virtues from which the damsels take their names are not set, but the following names are commonly in use: prudence, charity, chastity, love, joy, faith, temperance, patience, and humility. So it probably needs to be the spell. I'll check that out. Good, very good catch. That's why we're doing this. Very good catch. So that's what the damsels are supposed to be. And there's more, but that's the general intro to a damsel. The damsels, the blood royal. They are also the ones who go and find the high king. When you need a high king, the damsels are the ones who ride out to find the high king, because the high king is not hereditary. So I said for a 5e class, Damsel of the Blood Royal class, hit points D6, primary ability Charisma, saving throw proficiencies Wisdom and Charisma, armor proficiencies Light Armor, weapon proficiencies Dagger, Dart, Quarterstaff, and Sling. Skill proficiencies, choose 2 from Deception, History, Insight, Medicine, Persuasion, Religion, or Performance. Equipment, a simple weapon, a set of fine clothes, white dress with golden plaque belt, a set of traveling clothes, a healer's kit, a riding fox with tack and riding gear, a traveler's pack, or a diplomat's pack. Level 1, Inspiring Presence. At first level, your presence and demeanor inspires your allies. As an action, you can choose a number of creatures equal to your Charisma modifier, minimum of 1, within 30 feet of you. These creatures gain temporary hit points equal to your level, plus your Charisma modifier. Once you use this feature, you must complete a short or long rest before you can use it again. Sounds like it does need to be the spell. That means I may need to adjust. That means I may need to adjust it, because they already get the spell basically for free at 2nd level. I'll think about it. One example is the Harpy ability. Oh, interesting. So perhaps compare. Let me go over here. I'll put that over a note here. Compare with Harpy ability. Actually, maybe I should look that up. Well, we'll come back to it. We'll come back to it. So look up the Harpy ability, because that actually could be a good analog. If it's different, then that could allow them to have the spell, but then also that ability. That's really interesting. Okay, level 2, we've got Virtuous Teachings. At 2nd level, your knowledge of chivalry and virtue allows you to guide others in their personal growth. During a long rest, you can choose 1 creature to teach. That creature gains one of the following benefits, which lasts until the next long rest: advantage on saving throws against being frightened, advantage on Charisma Persuasion checks, or advantage on Wisdom Insight checks. I want the damsels to, like, when you're down, the damsels can come and help. The damsels come and help. Level 3, Inspiring Speech. As an action, you can deliver an inspiring speech that bolsters your allies. All creatures of your choice within 30 feet of you gain advantage on their next ability check, attack roll, or saving throw made within the next minute. Once you use this feature, you must complete a short or long rest before you can use it again. At level 4, you get your ability score improvement. And then at 5th level, is this supposed to be a choice? I better check my notes. At 5th level, you can use your action to emit a calming aura that helps your allies recover from their wounds. All creatures of your choice within 30 feet of you regain hit points equal to your Charisma modifier, minimum 1, plus your damsel level. Once you use this feature, you must complete a long rest before you can use it again. Heroic Inspiration. When an ally within 30 feet of you makes his attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can use your reaction to grant that ally a bonus equal to your Charisma modifier, minimum of 1, on that roll. When you use this feature, you must complete a short or long rest before you can use it again. And I believe that this needs to be a choice. That was the intention here. Choose one. Well, let's see. You get Master Herbalist here. So are you getting 2 things? No, I think it's not. I think it's both of them. I think that's both of them. The Knight gets an extra attack. The Druid gets Potent Remedies or Sage Advice, plus improved spell casting and ritual casting. The Witch gets Master Herbalist, and then one of these 2. Okay, so no, I think that the Damsel gets both of these. The Damsel gets Damsel's Guidance and Heroic Inspiration. I think that fits her pretty well. And I should also, I was just thinking, this is more words. But I should also clarify up here that other, clarify, like at the start here, clarify that other 5e character classes can be used. Specifically, Fighter could be used. Just thinking through here, Fighter could be used. Paladin probably requires more adjustment. You could definitely use Rogue, so you could put Rogue in here. Fighter, Rogue, Barbarian. Five E character classes. Cleric. I mean, cleric could be used. I want to specialize the cleric as a Mirite cleric later. I just don't have the rooms for it. Bard. Oh, Bard. You could definitely be a Bard too. Fighter, Rogue, Barbarian, Bard, Cleric. But we're just running out of page count here. But these are the special ones. Oh, Ranger. You can definitely be a Ranger. There are Rangers in Rabivania. So I need to add that in just so you can know that there are other options. If you want to play one of these others, you could play those, and those would probably also fit very well into Rabivania. All right. So the only thing beyond that, I'm gonna start from the very beginning, and I'm gonna go through all of this again before I start moving this over into a layout program. I think I'm just about ready, but we've come up with a couple of other things here. I want to read it with plenty of time to just think about it before I move it over to layout. But we are getting pretty close. This document's getting pretty close to done. But the only other thing that I realized when last we left this several weeks ago was the need to adjust gear. I realized I should probably have some kind of gear list for Rabivania. And again, I'm super worried about page count. I'm super worried about it. But I did put in gear, at least into this document. We'll see how it goes when we go to layout. But I did go into to basic gear. Because it's not. I figured that in order to maintain the feel of Rabivania, I needed to have some type of list from what you should and should not be kind of using. So basic gear: the following weapons and armor are commonly available in Rabivania. So armor and shields. I used the exact same phraseology there. I just realized the following weapons. I need some type of text here. Are commonly available. I'll remove Rabivania right now. That's duplicating. That duplication won't work. But armor and shields. So light armor, Gambison, 11 plus dexterity modifier, no disadvantage on stealth checks. Kurabuli is AC 12 plus dexterity modifier, no disadvantage on stealth checks. Medium armor, mail shirt, also called a habergeron, is a short-sleeved shirt of mail that covers down to the waist, AC 13 plus dex modifier max 2. Mail hauberk, a long-sleeve shirt of mail that comes to mid-thigh or even just about the knees, or even just that should be above, or just above the knees. It comes to mid-thighs or just above the knees. AC 14 plus dex modifier max 2, disadvantage on stealth checks. And then heavy armor, A full suit of mail includes chausses to defend the legs, a full sleeve hauberk with mufflers for the defense of the paws, either a separate or integrated coif, and metal helmet for the top of the head. AC 16, disadvantage on stealth checks. So if you want to get the highest AC that you've got, I started the knights with a mail hauberk here. They can upgrade themselves into a full suit of mail. If they've got their shield and they take the defensive weapon specialty, then that's how you could get to high AC. And that makes sense. The highest AC thing in the game would be a knight riding his war fox, wearing a full suit of mail with a shield with specialization in defense. And that specialization might represent the ability to special combat training with the shield, or it might even represent some type of special augmentation of the armor, whatever. But when he puts all those things together, he's the highest of the AC. So because this is the 13th century, this particular era of Rabivania is inspired by the 13th century. So we're not dealing with plate armored knights. We are dealing with mail armored knights. This is the age of mail. So a full suit of mail and all of that is your highest degree of protection that you're going to find. With shields, I did put on both a buckler and a shield. So a shield is +2 to AC while wielded, but I've always thought that we should also have bucklers. I got a buckler sitting right up there. I love bucklers, and I got a couple of training bucklers as well. And I created some bucklers when I was sword fighting. I like bucklers. So we've got shield, but also lots of, squires, for instance, or bowmen. The bow rabbits, might have a short sword and a buckler as well in case they get into hand-to-hand combat. And I think it would not be uncommon for the squires to also have bucklers with them. So I went ahead and added in buckler, +1 bonus to AC while wielded, shield, +2 bonus to AC while wielded. So armor is more Nordic than classically and anachronistically Arthurian knights in plate armor. So yeah, I guess I kind of did answer that. But yeah, this is not King Arthur as shown in the movie Excalibur. The anachronistic. Now, I do love King Arthur when interpreted like that. When you just say that, hey, we're just putting King Arthur into the high Middle Ages or even the late Middle Ages. This is King Arthur as the late Middle Ages. He's the King of England. We're not even trying to put King Arthur into historical. Any kind of historical context. That's just what he is. I like all kinds of varieties of King Arthur's telling, but this is not necessarily Nordic, but also like Norman. Like when you're looking at Norman knights in their armor, I love even the 1950s. I believe it was 1950s Ivanhoe movie. It's more than just the classic Viking mail shirt. I mean, you can get completely armored up in mail. Unless you also get a dex bonus. Well, yes, the dex bonus is in there too. Yeah, depending on your dex bonus. Do I have anything like cataphracts? No, I don't. I don't have anything like a cataphract at this particular age. I like cataphracts. I've got some cataphract. I've got Byzantine cataphract miniatures in there sitting in the kitchen. So no, I don't have anything like that here right now. Norman. Yeah, Norman. Since Splint is anachronistic, maybe mail should have AC 17 instead. All right, let's look at this. So light. So I say Gambison is 11. And by the way, I'm not worried. This is 5e rules, so I'm not worried about layering stuff. So if you're wearing mail, that's assumed to include all of the appropriate undergarments and stuff. So Gambison, 11. Curabul, that's our hardened leather, is 12. Okay, then you move up to medium armor. Well, we're going up. So we're going up male shirts. If you're just wearing a male shirt, you get to 13. If you go up to a complete hauberk, you get 14. And then the full suit of mail goes to 16. So is this one you're saying that you think should be 17? And yeah, I'm thinking about here without dex bonus. So this would be without dex bonus. If this is 16, how did I calculate this? What was I thinking? So if this is 16, and then you add a shield, you're at AC 18. So that would mean the highest AC that you can get to is 18, unless you are a knight and you specifically take mounted defense. So if you're wearing the highest type of armor available, we said, and our shield, so that's 16, and you have to be wearing armor, shielded, and it doesn't say that you have to be wearing the highest armor, but if you are wearing the highest armor, it'd be 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That would put you at AC 20, not including dex. So that would mean if you got like a +2 dex, but you don't have this special ability, you could get up to 20. You're just worried that heavy isn't an upgrade if you have a bit of dex. Oh, okay. So right here, AC 16, disadvantage on stealth checks. So in light armor, it says AC 11 plus dex modifier. I see what you're worried about. AC 12 plus dex modifier. Medium armor, you're getting dex modifier. It's when you get to heavy armor that you're dropping dex. You're dropping dex here. So maybe you should get a boost. See, we talked about that last time, right? We talked about that yesterday when we were talking about game design and talking about, well, the passive defense or just passive resistances, and AC in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons is passive. So it's just a number you roll against, but it's supposed to incorporate your moving around as well as the type of armor. That makes this difficult. So if you have to drop your dex, okay, I tell you what. What if we go AC 17 here, and say the most advanced? Because I do want this to be the case. The most advanced suits of armor in Rabivania may also include a few smaller a few, or may also be augmented by a few smaller plate pieces. So they're just getting to that. They're just getting to that. They don't have furnaces that allow them to make large blooms of metal, and that's the key. That if you so most of their pieces of metal, like their helmets, would probably be Spangen helms because they don't have the metallurgical technology to smelt large enough blooms to create the large enough plates to create something like the entire breastplate. So you would have to do this with smaller plate pieces. That's why when you've got like a Spangen helm, like my helmet over here. I mean, it's not like somebody didn't have an idea that, hey, let me make a whole helmet out of one piece of metal. It's not like they didn't have that idea. They're not stupid. They just don't have the large enough pieces of metal to create a helmet out of one piece. So a Rabivanian helmet, like, okay, we need to protect our helmet with our head with metal. And we can't protect our entire body with metal. That's why we make wire. And then here, okay, so a Rabivanian helmet would be more of Spangen helm construction. Cataphracts are so cool. I agree. How much of a dex modifier if wearing heavy armor? Isn't it none? So dex modifier heavy armor. Heavy armor doesn't let you add your dex modifier to your armor class, but it also doesn't penalize you if your dex modifier is negative. Oh. Neutromancer says, in the original table, there's some overlap, but eventually the highest of each category usually has a bit more AC than the highest of the previous category plus dex. That is a good game design catch, Neutromancer. That's a really good game design catch. Doing different qualities. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Actually, so maybe we need some more additions. Hey, wait, where's this one? A 5th edition book. That way I can leave it up. So let me just look at the 5th edition book. Medium armor is dex mod up to 2. See, gear is cool. Gear is cool. That's why we do it. Let's let me find armor in this book. Because it's impossible to find things in the 5th edition book. Inspiration, acolyte, criminal. Oh, okay, here it is. So, yeah, so here. Yeah, I mean, I agree. So it's no problem to pare back the types of armor in a setting book. Frankly, the armor system in 5e is a mess. So assuming +4 dex, assuming +4 dex in 5e, light goes up to 16, medium goes up to 17, and heavy armor goes to 18. So that was my concern, but 17 makes it a bit more fair than I think. Okay. So I'm looking at the 5th edition book here. So light armor in 5th edition is padded, but I chose to use the term gambeson for that. So padded is 11 plus dexterity modifier. It says this says disadvantage on stealth checks, but I was like, no disadvantage on stealth checks. That's fine. Gambeson works. Instead of leather, I have Kurabuli. And so no, leather armor is 11. Now, in 5th edition, leather armor is also 11 plus dex. So I made Kurabuli, the hardened leather, a studded leather equivalent. So that's 12 plus dex modifier, no disadvantage on stealth checks. So that's the equivalent of padded and studded leather. I just dropped leather. Medium armor, okay, hide. Okay, we could talk about hide, but I just I didn't include it. So chain shirt. So I said mail shirt, which is our habergeron. Because I hate chain mail, hate chain shirt, I hate that. So we're doing this right. This is mail shirt here. So I believe that should be the same. A short sleeve shirt of mail that covers down to the waist. So that is 13 plus dex modifier, max 2. Okay, so that's the equivalent of chain shirt. Mail hauberk is the equivalent of scale mail. Ugh, and I hate that term, scale mail. So I think I used mail hauberk then as the equivalent of scale mail because it is 14 dex modifier, max 2, disadvantage on stealth checks. Yes, okay, so I used mail hauberk as the equivalent of scale mail. Now you've got breastplate. Now, see, I didn't include breastplate. Breastplate is like scale mail, except for whereas scale mail gives you disadvantage on stealth checks, breastplate does not. Whatever, let's skip it. Half plate. Half plate is 15 plus dex modifier, max 2. This is good thinking. Let's see what's up here. Medium armor is dex plus PHR Blex. Does helmets have an impact on perception? The helmet, as I just wrote there, did not. But, maybe we should add Great Helm. So I'm thinking that maybe we do need another armor category and include a Great Helm. No, you're right. This is fantastic, Neutromancer. I agree. Just trying to keep some consistency between the tiers. You have a reason to go heavy instead of just stopping at medium. No, that's fantastic. Well, you just the weight of armor. 5th edition is a mess. So this is the 5th edition equivalent. I'll address that in greater detail in other games. This is the 5th edition stuff. So. I'd have to look up swimming in armor, but probably in 5th edition, there isn't probably a whole lot of information on it. 5th edition, 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 5 Neutromancer says you're basically using one less AC cap for your armor, but if it's across the board, it's no problem. Usually disadvantage on swimming. That's what it is. I figured it would be light. I figured that would be light or none. Disadvantage on swimming if no effect. Yeah, D&D armors are assumed to have all the pieces, including the helmet. I think perception is not considered. Okay, so wait a minute. So what did we come up with? So this is medium armor. So male hauberk is the equivalent of scale male as far as our dex adjustment goes. So I don't have a 15 medium armor. This is max adjustment plus 2. So that would mean that you could have a maximum dex, you could have a maximum of 16. If you put on the male hauberk, no matter what your dex modifier, you could get to AC 16 here. So now, if you go to heavy armor, yeah, if it were 16 and you had a plus 2 dex, there would be no difference between a full suit of mail and a male hauberk with dex modifier. But I want you to, I want especially the knights to say, you know, we need to continue to go up in heavy armor. So heavy armor is then dex is AC 17. That makes sense. Heavy armor here, ring mail is just flat AC 14. Chain mail is AC 16. That's probably where I got that from. Because chainmail here is 16, but no dex modifier. Splint is 17. And then plate is 18. And I decided to just not have plate. Let's just not go up to 18. Let's have splint. Yeah, that makes sense. So your only real heavy armor option is the full suit of mail, which includes chausses to defend the legs, a full sleeve hauberk with mufflers to defend the paws, either a separate or integrated coif, and a metal helmet for the top of the head. This could be, I didn't really specify here. It may not be important to specify. It could be a conical helmet with a little bit of open face if you're in infantry mode, or it could be a whole great helmet. The most advanced suits in Rabivania may also be augmented by a few smaller plate pieces. So that moves this to the splint, the category of splint. So if you want a higher than 16 dex, if you want a higher than 16 AC, and you're not using a shield would be plus 2 bonus anyway. But if you want higher than 16 AC, you've got to move to the heavy armor. And you got one option, and then you'd need to add a shield. I think that can work. I think that works. I think that's a good call. Is that working? Is that better? The ears, they're actually kept exposed. I'll show you. Where's a Rabivanian helmet from the action figures? Here's a Rabivanian great helmet from one of the action figures. One of the action figure prototypes. So I do have the ears sticking out of the great helmet. And of course, when the action figures, when they're eventually put into production, the ears actually swivel and spin, right? So that's a Rabivanian great helm. So they've got the mantling off the back. They've got the torse that's the symbol of knighthood. They've got their crest on top of their helmet. And the other ears come through the top of it. And that way also from an animation perspective, whoa, even if you are, even if they're wearing a helmet, you can still convey emotion and whatever with their ears. Yeah, D&D, especially like plate armor, it's very generous. Disadvantage on perception is reserved for dim light. You can only see shapes. If you turn your head and see clearly, it's usually not enough. Characters are assumed to have 360 vision unless distracted. Yeah, if you're working with called shots, it would matter whether or not you're wearing a great helm there or you're wearing just a conical helmet. I don't know. I don't know how often it will come up. There needs to be some character who has had an ear cut off. Thank you, PH. Okay, so that was really good. So let's just finish this real quick because then this will wrap this up. So I said shields, but then with the weapons, I went. So the following weapons are commonly available in Rabivania. So I said simple melee weapons include club, dagger, hand axe, javelin, warhammer. Oh, let me bring this up. There we go. So simple melee weapons include club, dagger, hand axe, javelin, warhammer, mace, quarterstaff, sickle, spear, and then you also have unarmed strike. Then your martial melee weapons are battle axe, flail, glaive, bastard sword, arming sword. I renamed broadsword arming sword. So that's your classic knightly sword, right? Or was that longsword? I renamed. I don't like the distinction between broadsword and longsword, especially at this era of technology. So we just have arming sword. So the arming sword is your one-handed weapon that a knight might wield. Great sword. We do have bastard swords as well. Bastard sword, arming sword, great sword, halberd, lance, maul, morning star, scimitar, short sword, falchion, warpick, and warhammer. Simple ranged weapons include crossbow, light, dart, short bow, and sling. And then martial ranged weapons include crossbow, heavy, and longbow. I didn't realize I included heavy crossbow. Crossbow should just be light. At this level of technology, maybe we should just have light crossbows and not have the heavy crossbows. Because I'm thinking that the Rabivanian crossbows would not have, like when I think of a heavy crossbow, I'm thinking of one that has to have a windlass, and is augmented by some kind of hand crank. Like I'm expecting that the Rabivanian crossbow will be able to span their crossbows with just the goat's foot that goes into their foot, and then with paws pull this up. They're not doing the crank up. So actually, I'm gonna get rid of heavy crossbow. No heavy crossbows. So longbows you got so for ranged weapons we got dart, okay, but crossbow, short bow, sling, and if you want to go further than that, you can have longbow as a martial ranged weapon. Yeah, it's one of those things you're not trying to simulate, like not making the size of your tracks dependent on your weight and stuff. D&D is low on simulation. We're low on simulation. So that's what I came up with. This was a fantastic conversation. So that's basically the rules side of this. Well, no, actually, there is a little bit more rules side of this because in the bestiary, I do talk about foxes. So I have fox stats. Maybe we need to look at this later. Fox, mice in the bestiary for non-player characters. Fox, mice, raccoons, rabbit. Fox, mice, fox. Let me start over. Fox, mice, raccoon, rat, weasel, snake, squirrel. And I do have stats for them as well. So 5e stats. Weasel, cutthroat, weasel, mystic, of what they should be. So I guess we can cover NPC stats for what would be in this book, but I need to start from the very beginning and start and reread everything, take into a couple of different notes that we talked about here, and then start moving this over to layout so I can get this underway. Right. Yeah, when you go to like a HEMA thing and you're talking about long swords, you're typically talking about something that is often two-handed. Yes. So therefore, I'm using the term arming sword for a one-handed sword. Because in a broadsword, I think that terminology came in specifically to contrast it with something like a rapier, a broadsword. So I don't think they would use that. So I've just used the term arming sword as your typical knightly one-handed sword. Yeah, bastard sword, and then bastard sword is the combination. That's bastard sword is the hybrid. That's the way I'm interpreting it here. So I didn't include like a two-handed longsword in this. I got a great sword. You can have a great sword. All right. That's where I sit. So I got a lot of work to do. In fact, I got to work on getting information out about the Goodnight Swords. I guess I'll drop this one more time. Goodnight Sword, everybody. If you know somebody who you would like to get involved in this world and they are of the age of Goodnight Moon, please do think about checking out Goodnight Sword. I would really appreciate it. We are going to be wrapping that up, like I said, in about 36 hours. But tonight, do not forget, tonight we have the discussion about good and evil and storytelling with Michelle. Table talk tonight. It's unusual because we don't normally have it on Wednesday nights. I know. I will also put out the call on the Ravenkeep Discord server. I'll put out a call to everybody, an announcement about 15 minutes before we go live. So if you are not part of the Discord server, that's the best way to know what's going on. That's the best way to know what's going on. I really appreciate the conversation. Thank you so much, everybody. So I will see you tonight at 7 o'clock p.m. Central for our discussion on good and evil and storytelling. But in the meantime, be constructive, be creative, and grind on. Later.